Excuse me. Afternoon, everyone. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, good. All right, excellent way to cap off the 2018 season at Davis Wade with a convincing win on Senior Day and Military Appreciation Day. I thought it was an awesome home crowd. Great alternative, great uniforms. Our equipment manager, Stick Rogers, did an awesome job coordinating all that. Thought it was a complete team win. Excuse me. And a performance representative of our standard and expectation level. From a performance indicator standpoint, won the turnover battle 3-1, won the explosive play battle 14-7, one third down 70% to 29%, and in the red zone, 6 touchdowns to 0 touchdowns. In drive start battle, we won, which was awesome. Minus 36-yard line to the minus 28. Certainly excited for our senior class who have done so much for this team and this school. Finished 6-1 at home this fall, and appreciative of their individual and collective efforts in their time here at Starkville and at Mississippi State University. I'm sure you guys have seen the Defensive Player of the Week as named by the SEC was John Abram. The Offensive Lineman of the Week named by the SEC was Deion Calhoun. Excuse me. Selection by the coaching staff. Offensive Player of the Week was Nick Fitzgerald, with honorable mention to Aries Williams and Justin Johnson. Defensive Player of the Week was John Abram, and Special Teams Player of the Week was Chris Rayford. Our Scout Team Players of the Week were Cason Grant for the offense, Adrikus Connor for the defense, and Saman Anderson for the special teams. Student Athletes of the Week were freshman tight end Jaquarius Spivey and fellow tight end Powers Warren. So those were our Student Athletes of the Week, doing a great job there in the classroom. From an injury standpoint, really not much has changed from last week, so if you guys have individual questions at the end, I will address those. But got out of that game relatively healthy, so we're feeling good about that where we are at this point in the year. And Thomas Counts and the staff are doing a great job of making sure our guys are healthy and taking the field ready to play. Moving on to this week, obviously we play Ole Miss. Coach Luke, the head coach, 11-12 in 2 years. Began his coaching career as a student assistant at Ole Miss in 1999. Mentored by guys like Phil Fulmer, Dave Cutliff, and Tommy Tuberville, and obviously is doing a nice job up there in Oxford. On offense, coordinated by Phil Longo, a spread RPO system, and obviously their success and productivity is very well documented with Jordan at quarterback. Thrown for 38, 31, and 19 touchdowns this year, very accurate and a really capable runner. Isaiah Wolford's running back right now with Scotty Phillips being injured. Not really sure what his status is, but he's filled in there nicely. And then obviously Starkville's own A.J. Brown. His merits speak for themselves, along with the rest of that dangerous and athletic and explosive receiving core. And, number 9, tight end, does a real nice job. And then certainly Greg Little at offensive lineman, expected to be a high draft pick, a ton of accolades there. And averaging almost 37 points a game, 175 on the ground, and 364 in the air. So certainly a very explosive offense. That's moved the ball well the entire season. Defensively, they're coordinated by Wesley McGriff. Really a mix of 4-down and 3-down defenses and zone and man coverages. Nationally ranked 41st in red zone defense. Created 15 turnovers, which is an extremely high number. On the defensive line, number 40, Coatney has 51 tackles, 3 for loss. Plays very hard. Preseason All-SEC. The linebacker, number 46, Mohamed Sanago, 104 tackles, 6.5 for loss, a sack. High motor, very physical guy. And then on the back end, number 36, Zedrick Woods, 70 tackles, a tackle for loss, 2 interceptions. Great ball skills, instincts, and anticipation there. Kind of split the coordinator duties on special teams amongst the staff. Guy that sticks out is, the kickers hit 21 of 26 field goals. They had 1 kickoff return touchdown, forced turnover on punt return versus Vandy. Elijah Moore is the returner, 18.5 yards on kickoff returns. And then, like I mentioned, Luke Logan, the kicker, 5 for 5 versus Vandy. So, obviously going to be a heck of a challenge in this game. One we're very excited for. It is a huge game battle for the Golden Egg. Certainly understand the importance and significance of this game to our players, our program, the school, the city, the state, and our fans. Shortened week of preparation, incredibly focused and need to take advantage of our reps both mentally and physically during the week to earn the right to take the field with confidence. In a very challenging environment, we're going to need to play with tremendous poise, fanatical effort, and most importantly, execute with a high level of precision. And once again, we'll continue to stick to our process, not compete against an opponent. That'll take care of itself on the field, but once again, do everything to our standard. So certainly very excited, and with that, we'll open the floor to questions.
On the injury front, Kylan and Jaquarius, are they still day-to-day?
They are both improved in our day-to-day, both the lower bodies, but as the days progress, we're more and more optimistic of their return for this week.
Okay, and with Jonathan moving to nickel, CJ stepped in and performed pretty well, had the interception against Arkansas. What have you seen in him, and what made him the best option when you'll need a replacement starting with the Alabama?
I think experience and positional flexibility. I think Coach Shoup and Coach Buckley have done a good job with some of those guys who played both the corner and the star position, getting them reps, number one in fall camp and 2, 3 throughout the season. And, I think those guys are all, possess good football IQ, so the ability to kind of bounce back and forth between positions definitely benefited us. And, they made the most of the opportunity. I do have your sweatshirt, too. I had a 3X downstairs, the Great State one, so that's on order.
Thank you.
I got you. Closed mouths don't get fed, and so you're good.
I'd also like a sweatshirt.
Okay. I'll be taking orders in the back afterwards.
Awesome, great. I'm just wondering, whenever you came to Starkville, how quickly were you introduced to just the importance of the Egg Bowl, and what did you first hear about it? What was your first impression, and what have you noticed as the season has gone on and with this week leading up to it?
Yeah, when I got off the plane and started, shaking hands and signing autographs, walking around the fence, there were a few people who kind of relayed the importance of the game and what it means. So that happened pretty quick. And President Keenum in his office after my press conference, and really everybody that you see, in town and around the state, a lot of passion. And this game has all the ingredients of what makes college football and a great rivalry special. Two great opponents, proximity, familiarity, tradition, history, and really, quite frankly, most importantly, a lot of players from the state who have played with or against each other. And I think that's what makes this game unique and special.
Do you think you've ever played in a rivalry game quite like this one?
Played in one?
Excuse me, coached.
No. Yeah, Fordham Holy Cross really doesn't carry the panache of Mississippi State Ole Miss, but it's close. But I'd say, Pitt Penn State would be. It's kind of falls in the same category, I would think, in terms of all the things that check off, a good in-state rivalry.
Coach, I would caution Columbia fans to be very upset that you didn't mention them as a rival.
Columbia?
For them. But also, when the games like these, when the team that settles down first tends to always win the ball game, how do you kind of control the emotions and have them just, as you say, approach the game with passion, not emotion? Yeah,
I think part of that's going to be, inevitable because, this game means a lot to our kids and to our team and, certainly to our school. And, as you mentioned, what we talked about in the preseason and throughout the season, the ability to handle prosperity, handle adversity, show our emotions without being emotional. And, they're going to be fired up. I think that kind of stands on its own merit and no form of inflammatory rhetoric from me to get them fired up. That's going to last for about a series or a half of a quarter, and then ultimately, when that wears off, you're going to fall back on your preparation and you're going to win the game because of your effort and your execution. So, whether or not I give a pre-game Newt Rockne fire 'em up speech and put my fist through a whiteboard, they'll get fired up for a second until they get on the bus, and then the game's going to start and you're going to have to fall back on your habits.
In your wins this year, you're averaging over 7 yards per play.
Right.
In your losses, you're averaging under 4. You expect there to be some discrepancy between wins and losses,
Yeah.
but any idea of why it's so large?
Right off, I kind of looked up some of those numbers today as well, and it's, in the 7 wins, it was over 45 a game, and the losses, it was right at 17, I think, points per game. And I'd probably say it's caliber of opponent, pointing the finger at me, game plan and play calling, and, certainly when you look at the teams that we lost to, Kentucky, LSU, Florida, Alabama, you're playing a very, very good opponent. So I'd say it's probably a combination of all those factors.
When you arrived last year, your quarterback was on crutches. How aware were you of the extent of his injury, and How much concern was there going into this season, or uncertainty about him coming back from that?
Yeah, I was, I caught can't remember how early it happened. First quarter, second quarter?
First quarter.
It was first quarter. I was watching the very start of the game, and it was my middle son's birthday. So I had to run to Target to get one of them Apple Watch, whatever they're called, Apple Watch. Not realizing it was Thanksgiving, and people shop on that day, so that took a little bit of time. So I didn't get back till the second half. My daughter was watching the game and informed me of the injury, so that's kind of how I, found out that it happened and watched the rest of the game. But certainly when your ankle is facing the direction where it's not supposed to be, that takes a physical and mental toll on the person it happened to. And I think between Nick and our training staff and everything that they've done to kind of fight back and battle through that and get him ready to play, and certainly the things that he's been able to accomplish this year. After that, I think it's a credit to him and our training staff.
Coach, you mentioned Thanksgiving. Just what are the challenges having the holiday fall on a game day? And do you anticipate having some time with your family? Any plans with the team, or just how you're going to handle the holiday and get mixed in with it?
Yeah, we're going to have after practice today. We'll have training table meal, and we'll have all the families in for a, pre-Thanksgiving meal. The game will end late, so there really won't be much of a chance for it there. I don't know how much turkey stuffing or dressing, is that dressing? That's what it's called. Dressing and cranberry sauce we want to be filling our guys with right before the game. So, Friday and Saturday we'll be off, and hopefully there's a bunch of leftovers in the fridge that we can eat after that.
Coach, I know a lot of players look at these games as just another week on the schedule, but Nick has had to think about this game pretty much every time he's put on his socks. So
yeah.
what's kind of your message to him, as you mentioned preparation and sort of stuff, to not be emotional, but to go out there and be the quarterback you can be?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I really think for him, you really can't afford to be too high or too low at the quarterback position. There's some other spots on the field where you can play with a little bit of emotion, a little bit more emotion, and kind of harness it the right way. But certainly with the mental and physical challenges of playing that position and the preparation of what goes into it on every snap, that he can't be sky high and be worried about things that aren't important. And certainly I know he'll be fired up, he'll want to play well, but of all the positions on the field, he's really got to be focused on the task at hand.
Now that you've got almost an entire regular season under your belt, the defense, of course, has shined all season long. When you came in here, you knew what you had there from a personnel standpoint. You knew, what Coach Shue could do. But I guess how does it compare to what your expectations were for that defense and what they've been able to do so far?
Obviously thought very highly of Coach Shue. Known him, mostly professionally, but on somewhat of a personal level, and was impressed with his, track record, and that's the reason we brought him in here along with the other, defensive coaches, and including the ones who were retained, and certainly the level of talent and experience that we had on, the defensive side of the ball. Coming off a season where Coach Grantham, I believe they allowed 20 points a game last year, somewhere in that range, and that's very good. And for them to be able to elevate their level of production and performance, and you look at, I think we didn't give up a rushing touchdown at home, right, and very few points. So I would say if I were to classify it, it would certainly, I had high expectations, but in some way, or in a lot of ways, it's probably exceeded my expectation level, to be honest with you. And that's hard to do because we have very, very high standard.
I know you heard from him a lot when you first got hired, but have you heard from Mark Keenum this week about bringing the
Not this week. I'm sure I will.
And Scott Goodman took the kickoff job as a freshman right when he got here. He's held on to it all year long. How has he performed in your estimation?
I mean, he's another guy I would say above expectation level. Walk-on guy, preferred walk-on guy that's come in and really won the job, and I think he's getting a little bit better every week. And when you have a weapon like that on your kickoff team that can put the ball through the end zone and limit the number of returns that the team gets, and you talk about drive start battle and hidden yardage, to make sure that they're starting at the 25. I think that's a guy who Scott's a guy who's doing very well on kickoff. But, we're trying to grow him into, he's been working on field goals and things like that as well. He can also punt, so very talented young man. We're happy with him.
Coach, since losing DK Metcalf, Ole Miss has lost 4 games in a row. How are they a different offense and different team without him?
Certainly he's one of the top receivers in the conference and one of the best in the country, and very explosive. But I don't want to say they haven't missed a beat because he's that talented of a player, but with the depth they have at that position and the ability for Coach Longo to kind of disperse the ball amongst their playmakers, You know, you saw Lodge and AJ had a huge game in the tight end, and rolling some running backs through there. You know, we should Bill throwing for 300 yards and 9 of 11 games, and certainly watched the Vandy game, and they're able to throw it around pretty good. So I think the scheme lends to that, the play calling, and the talent level they have helps. But certainly he's sorely missed.
I think Ole Miss has given up 213 yards on the ground. That's last in the SEC.
Yeah.
You guys, Nick only threw the ball 14 times against Arkansas. How similar do you think the game plan is going to be?
Yeah, we today's technically, this will be our first practice of the week this evening. So kind of we'll rep some of that stuff on first and second down out today. But like always, you plan your game plan. You obviously put your game plan together, and you want to be able to run the ball successfully, and kind of everything is built off of that. And more than anything, I think the one thing that you kind of look at that you need to have, you can win games by being, you can win games by running the ball well, but to win championships you have to be balanced. And I think that that's one thing that we're growing towards, being able to have balance. And certainly, I'm not really caught up on when we need to run the ball well in this game or we need to pass the ball well in this game. I think whether it's on the ground or in the air, the ability to generate explosive plays, the ability to limit turnovers, convert third downs, and score touchdowns in the red zone. Now, certainly the game plan can veer more towards what you do well and the other team struggles to defend. And I think a lot of that, plays out on game day.
Coach, what exactly do you see from AJ? You mentioned AJ a couple of times already on film, and it concerns you about his ability.
Well, this is a better question. What doesn't concern you? I saw him. I think I was at the Starkville spring game or somewhere over there, and he was on the sidelines. And I'd never seen him in person. I mean, first of all, that's a big kid now, and for him to be able to run the way he does and make plays after the catch and get open, he's just, like I said, kind of like the little kid. There's a reason why he's one of the top receivers in the country and is going to be drafted real high. And I think he's a fantastic player. I really do.
Other questions? Robbie?
You mentioned a little bit about Dion getting the offensive lineman of the week. He's a guy that was lightly recruited coming out of high school and has really had a productive career. Just how big has he been for that offensive line and helping the offense kind of produce how you want them to produce?
I think he's been a pivotal cog in the operation of the offensive line. And certainly got some young guys out on the edges in Greg, Tyree, and Stu, and kind of the I'll say steadying force, but we talked a bunch about Elton for very good reason. I believe he's the top center in the country and has done an unbelievable job there. And then Darryl and Dion flanking him. I think the middle of our line has done a real nice job, and certainly Dion's been a vital part of that.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it. Hail State. Have a great day.